Hi everyone, welcome to our webinar. Today, we'll explore in detail how you can use TalentLMS to create informative and engaging courses for anybody who needs to take compliance training. To be fair, we have all taken this type of training, and I'm sure that nobody in this room today has ever not taken compliance training. So what we're here to talk about is how to make this type of training very useful for your learners, and of course, create courses that are engaging, even for training that they have to do as part of their mandatory compliance procedures. Let's get started. We have a lot to talk about. My name is Theo. I am part of the customer education team, and I will be hosting the session today. But I'm not alone. I have my colleague Eirini here.
Hello, everybody. My name is Eirini. I'm a senior customer education specialist, and I will be with Theo today to help you create informative and engaging courses for users who need to take compliance training.
And you'll hear from Eirini a lot more, so I'm very excited to share this webinar with her. But first, let's see what we have planned for you today. Today, we will see how you can build courses that are suitable for compliance training. And then you will see features in TalentLMS that will help you automate the way that you deliver your compliance training. And of course, it's all about having things ready and on the go. So what we're going to do is talk about how you can deliver compliance training immediately with TalentLibrary, while of course you build your own compliance programs. This webinar is heavily dependent on your questions. So we are here to answer your questions live. So at the end of the webinar, feel free to ask any question that you would like, and we will do our best to answer as many possible as we can live. One thing as well for the Q&A. Behind the scenes, we have our colleague Nick and his team, and they will be able to answer questions as well during the webinar. So feel free to use the Q&A button. This is located in the meeting controls. Ask your question anytime, any question goes, and then of course, we will be able to answer them during the session. Last thing, the webinar is recorded and you will receive the recording once the session is over. So I would suggest tomorrow morning, have a look at your inbox and you will find the recording there. Sharing is caring, so feel free to share the webinar with anybody that you would like to showcase how to do compliance training with TalentLMS. If everybody's ready, let's start. And we will get into the portal very soon and see all about creating and deliver the training. But first, what is compliance training and why do we need it? Compliance training is an umbrella term, a broad term that is used to describe mandatory training that is provided to employees in order to ensure that they understand the laws, the policies, the regulations, and the procedures that they need to uphold. You might be wondering, isn't this every mandatory training that we do? It can be part of your compliance training, but compliance training specifically is useful because you need to reduce the risk of legal liabilities in the workplace and in correspondence with your customers. So reducing legal liabilities is always the #1 priority for compliance training. And then it's all about safety and security. Whether you work remotely and you handle digital equipment, or you work online, or even you work on site on a physical job location, safety and security is always #1 priority. So it's something that everybody should be able to provide through compliance training. And at the end of the day, we want to work in a better work environment, in a healthy work environment overall. So compliance training is here to ensure that this is always met, and of course that everybody is aware with what makes a workplace better and healthy for everybody. That said, there are a lot of types of compliance training, as you might have already guessed, and they range from ethics, diversity, equality and inclusion, to cybersecurity and equipment handling security. Each of those are covering specific content to help employees be safe, and companies, of course, be safe as employees are working for them. And of course, everybody with compliance training is up to date, and you will very often see compliance training that is updated and needs to be retaken every now and then for, of course, everybody's safety and legal reasons. Eirini, I'm coming to you now. How can we start delivering compliance training with TalentLMS?
Well, for this webinar, we have assigned different roles. Theo will be the administrator and I will be the instructor. So let's see together what an instructor can do to enhance their compliance training within the portal. I'm going to share my screen. I hope that you all see it. And we will open up a course now. I'm going to go for this, keeping up with compliance. The first thing that I want to talk about is the course setting page. So we're going to access it by clicking Edit Course. The features that we can see here, the first thing, if we scroll down, is the time options. If you have time-sensitive courses that need to be completed upon a specific date, add this date as the expiration one here. The expiration date will show right next to the progress bar of each course in a red font. On the other hand, if you're not quite sure about the date, probably due to different onboarding dates, you can use the time limit. Simply add the amount of days here that this course should be available for all the learners and assign accordingly. The time limit will start counting from the first day of enrollment, so each user will have its own expiration date at the same time frame. In both options, once the expiration date passes, the course is no longer accessible from the user. Another thing that is worth discussing here is the certificate reassignment. It's really common to set up a recurrence on your compliance course, so why not automate the reassignment too when the certificate expires? Select the certificate, we have already done that, and the duration. And if we click here, we need to check here the reassign course to user, and we have a variety of options of when that reassignment would be. It could be on certificate expiration, 1 week before certificate expiration, or 30 days before certificate expiration. For example, if you have a course about handling equipment safely and you have regular audits where you need to prove that all users are recently certified at all times, selecting 1 week prior to certificate expiration or 30 days before, that will make sure that learners complete the course on time without losing their current certification even for a second. So I'm going to select 1 week before and update my course. Now, let's see together what we can do as instructors in regards to compliance after we have created a course. Click Edit here on the side, on the rules and path. And from here, you will define what your learners need to do to complete a course. You can select how units will be completed, any order or sequential. You can also select how the course will be completed, if all units are completed or if selected units are completed. So you basically specify which units are the required ones. And then we have the learning path. This is a way to create a sequence of how courses should be completed by adding the prerequisites courses. So all you need to do is just select the courses and click Save. Now, let's go to another feature, to users in progress here. Apart from adding more users from this button by clicking here, Enroll Users, we're going to stick here to this tab, Course Users, because from here, if you hover over the learners, you can complete courses on their behalf, or you can also reset their progress. And if you want to do that en masse, you can also select this button here and reset the progress of all the users that you have in this course.
Eirini, hang on a moment, because I think that now that we talk about users, I can't help but notice that in another course, I think the name was Essential Compliance, if I remember correctly, there are a couple of users that haven't actually completed the course and the course expired. Can we be nice today and help them a little bit, give them a couple more days?
Well, you know that I'm generous and I couldn't say no to that. So let's go together to that course. Let's find that course and those expired users. You said it's the Essentials Compliance Training. So we're going to click it and go to Users in Progress. And yes, indeed, we have 2 expired users, Desiree and Johnny Depp. So we can also extend the duration for each user that did not manage to complete the course on time and has no longer access to it. If I hover next to Desiree, you can see that there's this little calendar button here. So if I click it, I can simply select a date. Let's go for the 26th. I think it's a good time frame for her to complete the course. Click Save, and that's it. Now Desiree has more time to complete the course. And of course, the new expiration date will show right next to the progress bar, as we said at the beginning. But what about the content of our courses itself? Are there any features that we can use? Definitely. So again, I'm going to go back to the Keeping Up with Compliance so we can see that. So the first thing is how the units will be completed. And for that, I'm going to click Edit in this presentation. And I'm talking about this feature here, So instead of going with a checkbox, you can select with a question where basically the learner needs to answer one question successfully so they can move on to the next units. Or alternatively, you can click here after a period of time and set up a time limit here. There will be a clock counting backwards on the bottom of the units. And once the time limit is over, then the user can move on. But let's talk a little bit about the type of units. I'm going back into my unit list and let's talk about the uploaded video. So let's click edit again. Now, on the how to complete it, if we click the after a period of time, we get two more features that will help us with our compliance training. First thing, synchronize timer with video, which will basically synchronize the time limit here with the timer of the video here. So no need to do any extra calculations. And of course, we also have the auto pause video when changing tab. This is a feature that will prevent any user to skip the video unit by moving forward the video or change tabs until the video is completed. The video will pause and it will continue from the second it was paused. So again, the users will need to watch the whole thing. Now, let's go back and see some other type of units. Let's check on the tests and assignments, the units that evaluate our users. With a test, our learners will be evaluated automatically from the system by answering a series of questions. In tests, if we click the test options here, we have settings like shuffling questions and possible answers, allowing repetitions, and also set up the maximum number of attempts, allowing movement to next or previous questions, and my favorite in the security section here, a password to start the test, or maybe require a learner to take a snapshot to start the test before they move on. In assignments, on the other hand, so let me just go back and add an assignment where the learners need to submit their answer and be evaluated by the instructors. We can select when instructor accepts the answer on how to complete it. This will leave the learner in a pending status and they cannot move on until the instructor comes back with their score and their feedback. But in TalentLMS, you have the ability to get detailed feedback from your users, check their preferences, and in general, consider their opinions about specific matters. This can be achieved with the surveys. So if we click Add and click a survey, from the survey options, you can choose if answering should be mandatory to move on to the next question or not from here. Now, the last thing that I would like to talk about is controlling the pace of unit completion. For example, in a course, you have 4 units that an average learner would complete in at least 2 hours per unit. Sometimes, though, learners and especially new hires tend to rush to complete the training in case they're perceived as not fast enough. Of course, in compliance training, we want learners to take all the necessary time for the course and not rush just to make a good impression. So we can make the course bulletproof. This can be achieved with the delay availability and the sections. If you hover over a section, so let's go for this one, we have this option, delay availability. If I click it, I can set up the hours or the days that this unit will be available for the learners. I'm going to go for 1 day and save the delay. Now, the delay availability will start counting from the day of enrollment to the course. And now my learners, it's not possible for them to move on to the next unit until 1 day passes. And I think that I've done my part now. So Theo, can you please take over and show us what an admin can do?
Yes, I'm here. And thank you very much, Eirini, for showing us so many good tips that we could use when we create compliance training and, of course, make it more efficient for the learners, of course, and for us, the employer who needs to deliver that training. Now, let's take it from the admin side, as Eirini suggested, and let me share my screen right there. And my job today is to share with you features that will help you to deliver that compliance training in a very efficient way. And of course, a couple of things that you need to prepare ahead of delivering the training. Let's start with the certificates. You already saw Eirini mentioning certificates and the way that we can reset and reassign the course to take the compliance training again based on the certificate expiration. But how do we make those certificates? Well, this is the admin's job. If we have a look at the accounting settings, and of course, we click on certificates, this is where an admin can create a customized certificate template or more that they can use when they deliver compliance training. For example, you see here that we have the option to choose one of the existing ones or another one we created, but let's create one together. You can, of course, upload your own backgrounds, or you can share anything that you would like to use from here. But the idea is that you might want this to be branded as well. So upload your own backgrounds. I've done it here, so I'm going to just select it. And then you can always preview and see the default template that will appear on the certificate. For example, it always includes the word certification and the first name, the last name, the course name, but you might want to change that. So if we jump away from that, still having the background selected, let's go to template itself. Now here you see HTML code. We don't really have to know HTML. We don't care about it. What we do care is the font in black. The text in black is what shows on the certificate. Now, for compliance training, you might want to have a unique identifier, a number that will be unique for every certificate. So this is what you can do. You can always use the placeholders, the smart tags, as we call them here. And we have a specially built one for this need, unique identifier. So what I'm going to do is say certification here, number, and I'm going to click on unique identifier. So now you see that placeholder, that smart tag is added there and will be populated every time a certificate is produced with a sequence of random letters and numbers. And of course, you can do the same thing for the rest of the content. You can use the custom user fields, custom course fields, anything that you would like from the smart tags available to create your own certificate template. I'm going to save as new now. So I will give it the name custom here. And of course, I can add more to it and then save. And now the custom certificate is available. Want to see what we did? Let's preview. Anytime you preview, of course, you will see your updated changes, and you can always go back and redo them, or you can go back and create something new. Now, this is the unique identifier, and it will be different every time somebody gets a certificate. For example, did somebody's course was reset and reassigned and they completed again? The new certificate, you have a different unique identifier. So nobody will be able to have the same certificates with every course completion. Now, let's go back and see how we can deliver compliance training, because having the certificate in the courses is one thing, but how do people get it? We have two main features, branches and groups, that can help with that. And for those that might already be familiar with branches, branches are independent training environments that you can have specific courses, admins, learners, instructors within every branch. So you can have different branches for different training environments, training purposes, training locations. Think of them like mini portals within your main portal. Of course, branches are supported by certain TalentLMS plans. And if you're looking into differentiating your training, definitely branches is the feature for that. But how can we use it for compliance? Well, I'm going to show you an example. Let's say that you are a global organization with locations in Europe, with locations in North America. And of course, Europe and North America have completely different compliance regulations and requirements. So your employees in Europe, they can be in their own branch. And your employees in North America, they can be in their American compliance branch. Of course, European compliance can have GDPR courses. They can have lots of different types of courses right here based on the local regulation. And American compliance can have courses dedicated to the areas that your people work for different states. And of course, any other location-specific training. Now, the people who are in your American branch will never have access to your European branch, unless, of course, you add the same person to more than one branches. So think about branches as a way to deliver compliance training for different regions or for different needs as well. Maybe you have people who work on site with heavy equipment and they are on a site that needs to have their own compliance regulations, and those can be your on site compliance people. But then you also have people who work in the office, and that could be a different set of training and therefore maybe a different branch. This is just something to think about. But also we have groups, and groups can be useful for compliance as well. Groups is a feature that would really allow you to mass assign courses to people. And in fact, with groups, you make sure that nobody will be left behind when you do mass course assignments. Let's go to groups and see how we can use them for compliance. Of course, with their standard use case, so we create a group like data protection here. You can always go ahead and add the courses that you need, and you can always add more. You can add the users and you can keep on adding. And then all you have to do is go to the mass actions, enroll the users in the group courses, and that's it. You have just added all of those people into all of those courses. So again, nobody's left behind. Another way to use though the groups is to automate the way that people will be getting these courses. So you might not want to assign the courses to people yourself every time, but you might want to create a group, put the courses inside, and then create a group key. Think of the group key like a password for the group. So you don't add any users, you only add the courses, you set the group key, you can always share the group key with your users. And of course, once they are aware of what the group key is, you can go, of course, as a learner, and then they click on join group, they paste the group key, join, and what happens? You successfully join the related group and you get automatically assigned to all of the courses that you would have in the group. So it's like a self-service way of being assigned to a compliance bundle of courses. And another thing which can be very useful, especially for your branches, especially for your main account, for any way that you want to deliver a certain set of courses to people right at the get-go. So if we go to create a group, for example, let's say that we create a group which is basic compliance, and then we just add it as it is. Then you need to go just to the courses. You don't have to worry about the users, and you can add, of course, the related courses that you would have. And now this is what we do. We get to account and settings, users, and you see the default group there. That's it. We get there and we select the group that we just created, basic compliance for me, and save. Now, if a new person gets added to my account, or if a new person signs up for my account, the very first time that they log in, they will receive the courses that I have in that default group. So see how that helps? Everybody needs to start with some sort of compliance training, right? So give it to them with the default group right on their first day. With branches, yes, you can do that, and you can have different groups. So if we get to the actual branches again, American compliance, for instance, this is a branch settings, and then we get all the way down to the users. Default group, of course, it can be, let's say, for example, data protection, and then you can save. The only thing that you have to remember here is that the courses that you will have in that default group should be added, of course, into the course list of the branch, so that way they can be used from the people and visible in the branch. So you can have default groups, you can use the group key, and of course the mass assignment to automate and save a lot of time from assigning courses to people one by one, and maybe sometimes leaving somebody out. And of course, talking about course assignments, how does anybody can get a reminder? How do they know if their time is running out, if a course is going to expire? That's why we have notifications. And for that, let's get together to the events engine and let's add a notification. The notifications work in the same way. It's just a different content that you have to be mindful for. So if we go to the event, for example, you will see that we have a lot of different types of notifications. But one of the key features that Eirini showed us before was that the fact that the course could expire if you put a time limit on it or an expiration date. So what you could have is a notification a couple of hours before course expiration. So here we go. Number of hours before course expiration. The recipient here, the recipient is a related user because we're looking for the people who have not yet completed the course before it expires. And then how many hours? I'm going to be, again, nice today and say 72 hours. So 3 days before the course expires, the people will receive a notification. So in case there's a weekend, they can still have a working day to complete the course. And then in the body, we can always add some text. We can add a subject line. The very first line is always the subject line of your notification. And then if you want to make it more relatable, of course, use the smart tags, somebody's first name, and then your course, which course. I'm going to place the cursor again, click on the course name, and that would populate the related course. Don't forget, filter, of course, you have the option to apply that notification for only specific courses. So for example, if you only wanted to be part of the essential compliance training and behavior-based safety, you can limit the function of the notification for those courses. But to be fair, it's a notification to have in lots and lots of courses, so why not leave it to work for any course? Give it a name, so that's going to be 72 hours expiration. And again, the name doesn't matter, just for you to identify what it is. Remember, this is the subject line of the people's email. Create it, and that's it. It's working right now. So from now on, people will be able to receive a reminder roughly 3 days, 72 hours before their course expires and they haven't completed. And since we're here, let me show you another thing which will really help you save massive amount of time. And this is one of my favorite features, because if you set it for the entire of your training, you would really not have to do manual labor in the account pretty much ever again. I'm talking about automations. Automations is one of my favorite features. So if we go to automation right here, what we want to do is create a sequence of actions that are triggered by a course completion, a course expiration, or other trigger actions that you will find. So if we go on the drop-down now, for example, you can see here a couple of hours after course assignment, completion, expiration, on course completion, assigned courses. So you can have lots and lots of different automations that will be happening based on what will be the event that will trigger them. But what I want to show you is this. On course completion with a score between this and that, assign courses. So let's select it. Now, you might be wondering, why do we need it? Let's say that we are going to select the course, 5 tips for device security. This is one of our mandatory courses here. And for anybody who completes that course with a score between 60% and let's say 79, then they will need a little bit more training, and then they could get the essential compliance training. And of course, they could get keeping up with compliance as well. So why do we need to specify the score here? Because that is an automation that will save you the time from going into the reports, seeing who is not a top performer, who needs more help, and then determining what courses these people will get. So the automation now, based on the score that you have here, finds out the moderate learners, and then they can get the extra courses that normally would be optional, but for them will do really good because they need more training to better the score. And then, of course, give it a title and save. And add another. So what you can do with the other, remove those courses, and then let's talk about now the top of the class. So that's going to be from 80, I'm never good at maths, to 100. And those, the top performers, they don't need the in-between training. They go straight to the device compliance certificate course to get the exam and get their certification. So you see, this way with 2 automations, you have saved your time from going into the reports, filtering out and figuring out who needs more help, giving the help to them, and who needs to move straight to the next part, which is a certificate. Think about automations if you are looking into determining which plan is the best for you. It is available now in the premium and enterprise plans. So if you already have those plans, click on the automations button and have a look at them and see how they can help you save time. But if you are in search for the right plan for you, the premium and enterprise with automations will definitely help you save a massive amount of time. Talking about saving time though, on that topic, what if you could have courses that you don't have to create yourself right away? What did you have courses that cover lots of compliance topics and they can be shared with your users right away today? Let me show you what I mean. And of course, I'm talking about TalentLibrary. TalentLibrary is created by TalentLMS, and it's a collection of courses in English and Spanish. We have more than 700 courses right now, and they cover a lot of diverse topics that apply pretty much to every workplace. In fact, with TalentLibrary, you can create compliance awareness within your organization. And of course, that can be done around essential compliance topics that courses are built on. The content within the Talent Library courses has been designed to create global off-the-shelf courses that appeal to audiences at all levels across all sectors and all organizations. In fact, a couple of compliance courses that you could find in the Talent Library collections: ethics and anti-harassment training, diversity, equality, inclusion training, cybersecurity training, health and safety training, and of course, lots and lots more collections. Now, you might be wondering, are you telling us to get it without trying? No. I would like to see what Talent Library is before I would make my decision. So what we would suggest is to send us an email, and that is trainingteam@talentlms.com. This is our direct contact inbox, and you can get a 14-day trial of Talent Library. In fact, the trial is good to have because you don't just see the courses, you become the learner. So we will add you into our dedicated Talent Library account. And from the eyes of a learner, you will experience every course if you want, all of the collections, and you can see exactly the experience that your own learners would have if you get on with Talent Library, and then you would actually go ahead and share the courses with them. So send us an email, check out Talent Library, and of course, our email is open to ask any question that you would like on Talent Library, and again, anything else. Talking of Talent Library, Eirini, can we change them? Can we alter them? Do we need to know any tips and tricks when we get the courses?
Well, I have something for you and for our attendees. So for this, I'm going to share my screen one more time, and I'm going to steal your role for a moment and become an admin myself, since administrators have access to the course store where the Talent Library courses live. Administrators can access our Talent Library courses from here. So they need to click Course Store. And on the next page, they can see all the Talent Library courses we have, 668 pages. But for your convenience, we have here our categories, our collections. So basically, you can just expand the nest and then check our categories so to locate the courses you're looking for. So by clicking the safety and compliance collection, we see a collection about compliance essentials like equality, diversity, sexual harassment, or fire safety awareness. Or if I go to cybersecurity, we can see courses about the power of a strong password, the danger of viruses and malware, keeping your data safe, or even if you want compliance on housekeeping in your workplace, you can click this collection. And we have courses about the importance of workplace housekeeping, workplace inspections, and so on. Now, you can apply all the settings we saw before in those courses, but how do we get them first? Well, you can either click, let's go here, and you can either click Get this course for standalone courses, or click Get All so you can get the entire collection. But what happens when you get those courses? Let's find that together. I have already added this course, Equality and Diversity. So I'm going to switch as an instructor really quick and click on the course. So I'm going to click Edit Course and access the course setting page. And from here, the first thing that you should be aware of is that every time you add a Talent Library course in your course catalog, by default, it's being hidden from the course catalog. So it's a great opportunity for you to do any adjustments you want before you unhide it and make it public for your audience. So as you can see, you can change the category, the description. You can add a time option for this course, duration and time limit. You can also add your own certificate, and once you have selected the certificate, also set up a duration and check the reassignment course to user. So all these options in the course setting page are available for you to adjust. And of course, if I hide it and click Update Course, that's it. As Theo mentioned, Talent Library compliance courses are designed with a global perspective around the topics. It will not itself ensure compliance, nor will it cover all the complexities and nuances of your territory-specific regularity framework. However, they're great to create awareness within the organization and act as conversation starters. You can always add more content to the Talent Library courses, combining the existing content with your own. So if you have your files already in your computer, you can simply drag and drop them here, or just click the add button and start adding your own units. So the Talent Library courses can be a great foundation to create your own unique and engaging course for your learners. And that's it from my end when it comes to Talent Library courses. Back to you, Theo.
Thank you, Rini, and thank you so much for everything you shared with us, especially when it comes to getting courses off the shelf, but of course, making them your own as well. Let's get started with some questions, and let me just do one question myself, and then I'm gonna pass the mic again to Rini for the questions. So let's talk about Lorna. Lorna is asking, once the certificate expires, does the system keep the previous course? Lorna, that's a great question. Now, when we expire certificates, if you don't set to reset the course, then that's fine. The reports will actually have that course and the score, and nothing will change. But if you have ticked the box that Irene mentioned before to reset and reassign the course, of course, since the course is reset, then the reports will show up the new stats, the updated stats, so it will not keep the rest. What I want to show you though, let me share my screen really quickly here. What I would like to show you is how you can download the reports. So what you could do, for example, if you said that the certificate will expire on the 31st of December, since you can set a custom date there, you can always, a couple of days before, go to the related course. For example, let's pretend that this is the one in question, and go to the options in the course report and export the report in Excel. So you can do that a couple of days before it expires, for example, December 31st, the certificates, and therefore you have it already ready before the course gets reassigned on January 1st to the people. So that could be something that you could do, but otherwise the reports get updated if a course is reset with the new scores and of course the new items. And I hope that this also answers Fabio's question, who says, when you reset all, did you delete the previous completion? Yes, we do. So download the report first and then reset if you're going to do it manually. So you can always have the stats. Now, another one, again, since I'm on the topics of reports, from an anonymous friend here. Do expired courses show up on reports? Yes, they do. And I'm going to show you how. So it's not expired courses, it's expired users pretty much. So if we get to the reports and we get to the courses, I think that's the course that it really helped people extend a little bit, was the essential compliance, I think. So let me just pull up all the compliance courses. And here we go. And then if I go into the course report of that specific one, in the users, yes, you can see the people that are expired. But again, if I click, and I can go from here into that person's report, and then if I go to the courses, you see again that the course is expired here. So yes, both in the user reports and in the course reports, you can see that the course is expired. I hope that helps. And I'm actually going to jump to Irene now, if that's all right. And there's a question from Shifa, who is asking, how do we sell courses online with LMS, and how will we receive the payments? Let's talk money.
Well, Sifa, that's a really interesting question. So let me share my screen with you. So the first thing that you need to do is set up the e-commerce option as an admin from the account and settings. So if we go here, this is basically where we select our processor, PayPal or Stripe, and some more settings about subscriptions, about discounts, issue invoices within TalentLMS, and of course, adding coupons if you want to offer discounts for your courses on a specific period, let's say Black Friday. And of course, credits in case that you're not using PayPal or Stripe and your payments are completed outside of TalentLMS. So from here, you can add credits, and then your learners can use those credits to purchase the courses. Now, once you have that set up, the next thing that you need to do is add prices to your courses. So if I go here to the Keeping Up with Compliance, for example, and go to the course setting page, this is where you will set up the price for your courses. Of course, we also have the option to create bundles either through the groups or the categories. But since you're really interested about the e-commerce option, I would recommend to send us an email to trainingteam@talentlms.com. So we will get back to you with recommendations and answer all your business specific questions. I hope this helps.
Thanks, Eirini. And since you're already sharing, let me just add 2 more questions to your roster if you want. So the other one comes from Christy. Christy is asking, how do you push out a notification reminding the learner to take the course before it expires?
Well, that's really simple, Christy, and thank you for this question. I'm going to switch as an administrator, and for that, I'm going to go to the event sending and add notification. In fact, we have an event about course expiration. So if I type here expiration, we have events on course expiration, but you're interested about giving them some time to complete that course on time. So this is the event, X hours before course expiration. Of course, you will need to select the recipient since you're interested of notifying your learners. It's going to be the related user. Also, you need to define the hours and again, write basically the template of that notification. Just a reminder here, the first line is always the subject of your email, and then the template will follow. And of course, you can also add the related smart tags that will populate the user's details or the course details in this email every time this is being generated. Give that a name. That is for the admins to identify what this notification is about. Click create, and that's it. This is the way.
Thanks, Eirini. And one more, if that's okay, that comes from Holly. Holly's asking, do you have any ideas related to branches and groups for organizations that work with multiple clients? For example, do they use client as a group, as a branch? What do you reckon?
Well, for this, it depends how you want to create your training module. If you're interested your clients to be in different training environments that will have their own logos, their own themes, their own unique course catalog, then definitely you should go for branches because branches is the perfect, it's the ideal solution here to create independent training environments according to your audience needs. Now, on the other hand, if you don't mind your clients to have access to the whole course catalog you store, and you just want to save time with the assignments, you can definitely use the groups for that. And with the mass action button, you can save time from mass assignments. But of course, this is something that is a little bit business specific. So again, you can send us an email, a training team, talentlms.com with more information about how you want to structure that, and we will get back to you.
Thanks, Eirini. And on top of what Eirini suggested, which is always a good idea to send us an email, I've just shared on the chats a webinar link that is about a webinar we did a bit earlier, which is how to organize your portal. So we reckon that you would find that's very useful and get a good idea of how you can use branches and groups as well. Now, there is another question as well from Fabio. So I think that this is for me. Fabio is asking, could you please show a report on Excel file, for example, matrix with names and courses attended, passed, not passed with expiry date as well? Yep, I see what you mean. So let me share my screen right here. And I think that you requested matrix, right? Like the training matrix report or just a course report? Well, I'm going to show you both. So let me just show you first the essential compliance training course Excel export. So in TalentLMS, you can see the users and of course, the timeline and all that details. But if we just export it, what you will see right here is the Excel file. And of course, it will open up with any application that opens up spreadsheets. And at this point, this is what you would get. I'm going to make it larger right there. So we have the overview, which is the ins and outs of the reports. And then we have the users, and you see the first name, last name, the status of the user, email, role, completion data, the time that they have completed, it took them to complete the course, the score, the certificate unique identifier, where you can download the certificate, and of course, custom fields if you have, certification expiration as well. In the tests, you can, of course, see the users with the completed, passed, and average score, and the same would happen for the rest of the details within the course and the timeline. Now, if we're talking about the training metrics, let me just go back to reports and let's go to the training metrics. In fact, this is one of the features that was really suggested from one of you. So we really accept any feature request or ideas you might have. And that's how we develop that type of report. So we have the users, the courses, it's color coordinated. If it's white here, the user doesn't have the course. If it's blue, they haven't started, orange in progress, and of course, green and red for failed and passed. Now, you can export that. So I'm going to just export the training matrix, and that will be sent to me by email. Of course, that happens because the training matrix has a lot of data. So that's something that we will take a couple of moments to get. But I just received it on my email, and I'm going to show you how that email looks as well. So if you see, this is the email that you receive with the report. So all I'm going to do is download it right there and then open up the zip folder that we have. Now, with that zip folder for the training matrix, you get all of that. So you open up the folder and then you have the report in two parts, of course, again, because of the amount of data that we have right here. And if we open up the first one, for example, let's lose that window here. What you will see is that everything is color coordinated as well. So making this larger once more. And again, of course, you can always just work with the columns and just open the map. But the idea is, let's just lose it a little bit. The idea is that you get a copy of what you see in the portal with an Excel format. And you can always get an overview as well for the completed, not passed in progress with the related color key as well as a way to identify what you're looking at. Try that. It's a good idea to give it a shot and download the reports in your portal as well. And of course, we are here to help if you have any questions around that. Now, let's see another one from Naeem. Naeem is asking, can you confirm whether integration is possible specifically with Microsoft Azure? Well, I think that you're talking about SSO, right? So let's go to account settings and users. And if we look at the single sign-on option right here, well, this is the option that you could use. So my feeling says yes, and I know that we can support that, but of course, it's something that you would have to explore in the SSO integration types. And if you want more help about that, from the dropdown here, if I just type here Azure, let's see, or maybe Microsoft, hang on. Well, you will be able to just see resources about how that would actually work. Now, I know that I haven't probably typed the correct words there, but again, under SSO, you will be able to find lots and lots of different options that you could use. And of course, support is there, so you can always just drop them a message and attach a screenshot if you're looking for something that they need to help with. And this is something that you can always use for any question or anything that you would like to double check with them. Let's see another question. And that question comes from Richard. Richard is asking two questions from Richard. So number one, are you considering adding digital signatures or biometrics as a way of confirming users have completed the course? Well, it's a great suggestion, and we love to hear that you shared with us. So our product team will be made aware of this comment, and this is something that we can always, keep as your suggestion, and who knows, this is something that we can consider. But also, another thing that I just wanted to mention is for the test, what Eirini suggested before, that when you go to the test options, you have the option to select people to take a picture before they complete the test. So that is something that potentially could help for now. And the second question that comes from Richard is it possible to limit a manager's report access to just their group within a branch without making multiple branches? I have a solution for you. The answer is you cannot limit somebody's report access to just one group. I mean, you can always go to the user types, and let's say that you create a user type, which is called branch admin. And of course, there can be an admin, but in the reports here, you can always remove groups, but then they will not see any groups. any group reports. And on the contrary, if you remove all of their admin access, but only add them to be able to do group reports, they will see all of the group reports. So it's either no group reports or all of the group report. So what's the workaround? What you can do is always in the branch or in the main portal, either way, you can do the same report. You can actually get to the groups and then you can pick which group. For example, let's take this one, and you can click on the drop down and you can schedule that report. So if you have created groups based on manager names, for example, Nick's group, Mary's group, Irini's group, then let's talk about Mary today. Mary's group, even though you don't give Mary access to all of the group reports because she will see other managers' reports as well, you can schedule that for her. So if Mary wants to see the report every Friday, schedule to every week on Friday. And then in custom recipients, you add Mary's email address here and your own if you want, but just hers would do. And then click schedule. And then that manager will only be able to see by email on Excel the reports about their own group because you scheduled that to happen for them. So that's my workaround. Of course, if you want to do it on a branch level, then you have to do it within the branch. And of course, you can go in the branch and schedule the related group report from there. So it only contains information of people for that specific branch. And let's see what else we have. We have lots of good questions right here. And I think that Eirini now is ready to answer another question. And that is a question from Ram. Ram is asking, I created a group. Every now and then I add courses to the group, but it doesn't automatically assign the course unless I sync after the course has been added. Is there a way to automate to assign the course after I have added the course to the group?
Well, I'm afraid that the answer for that is no. When it comes to adding courses in a group, you need to ensure to perform them as actions so you can mass assign the remaining courses to the users that already exist in the group. But if I'm not mistaken, there was another question that has been answered by Nick. Actually, it was not a question, it was like a feature request if we could add an automation that could assign courses to groups. If you're interested on a feature like that, please send us an email so we can put that on our wish list and we will let you know if we implement something similar or if we have any workaround that it will save you time from those assignments.
And another thing as well from Sandeep. Is there a way we can send test emails of these kind of reminders or other emails? So can we see how it looks in the learner's mailbox?
Yes, definitely. So let me share my screen so I can show you how. So again, we will go here, add notification. I believe that you are talking about those test emails. So if we click add notification, I'm gonna randomly select an event, let's say on user create, select a recipient. I'm not gonna write any text. I'm just gonna add test randomly here because I want to highlight this. This is the option of preview. So if you click it, you can add your email here and click send. And this is how you can follow up of how this email would look like for your learners and of course make any adjustments to fit to the desired outcome. I hope this helps.
Thanks, Eirini. And another one from my end from an anonymous attendee. Is it possible to have a custom report for a group of learners which have different group courses, but has a view similar to training metrics? If not, will this be a future feature? Let me just rethink this a moment. So you're looking for a report for a group of learners with different group course, of course, but has a view similar to training metrics. There's not a custom report that can look like the training metrics, but there's a training metrics that you can filter by group. So let me show you what I mean. So if I go and share my screen once more, let's jump back to the reports and let's go to the training metrics. Now, the training metrics can be filtered. So if you go here to the filter, you can filter based on branch or you can filter based on group. So for example, if we go for the digital compliance, You can see here the users and then the courses that you have within that group. So I feel that what you're looking for is the training metrics. And of course, you have the option always to export, schedule like any other report. I hope that was what you were looking for. And one final question from my end. I'm afraid I cannot remember your name because I don't see it here, but I remember somebody was asking about whether we would have any content specific to the North America, to the US, or any specific contents about compliance from ready-made courses that we could supply. So you were right that you were referring that the course store would be the one having those courses, not TalentLibrary at the moment, because TalentLibrary is a global solution and the courses for compliance there apply worldwide to lots of organizations and pretty much any workplace. But what you're looking for is indeed in the course store. Let me share how you can find that, and let me share this with others who might be looking for course specific, region specific compliance courses. So we are back at the course store as an admin, and you get to the other course providers. And if we expand here the categories, if we get, for example, to the HR compliance, you can have anti-harassment courses, which are for, if I click here, for example, you could see that these are specific for requirements in California. And then if you go back again, you could always just once more their diversity and inclusion courses, and you could always just have other courses as well when it goes to health and safety. For example, you could have workplace safety, IOS, OSHA, first aid, and a lot more. For example, Canada safety. Again, everything that we're looking here at is more specific to regions or to things and requirements that specific type of training should have. So I hope that helps, and I hope that gives you lots to think about. And I know that we had a lot of questions, which we love answering. So let me get back to you and share a couple of resources about how you can send more questions to us. Our email has been shared multiple times in the chat, but it's a good idea to share it with you right now as well. So that is trainingteam@talentlms.com. This is our direct inbox, and one member of our team will be able to answer your question or point you to the right resources anytime. And since we are answering your question, we have a question for you. Feel free to send us your feedback. There is a survey link right now on the chat by Nick, and that survey helps us improve our webinars and build sessions that you would like to attend. So the feedback survey is now on the chat. Just click on it. Takes less than a minute, just a couple of seconds, and it will help us bring you the content that you would like to watch and share with anybody who works with you about TalentLMS. And you might be wondering what's next. Lots of webinars are coming up. We have a dedicated page for that. That is talentlms.com/webinars. And I'm going to give you a couple of spoilers there. We have an upcoming Ask Us Anything webinar session about infographics. We have an Ask Us Anything session about the training matrix. We have lots and lots of different types of webinars, live Q&A webinars only, feature webinars like we did today, and we are hope to see you browsing our page. You can find past webinars there, and you can find, of course, our upcoming sessions. Thank you, everybody behind the chats. That is Nick and his team. And of course, thank you, Eirini, for sharing your knowledge here with us.
Thank you, Theo, and thank you all for joining with us today.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. And again, we're waiting to hear your feedback, read your questions, and we wish you happy training until next time and our next webinar. Take care. Bye-bye.